Hey you guys, Eugene from cultureofgaming.com bringing you an unboxing video for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition. I was lucky enough to get one of these today after waiting in line at my local Walmart at midnight. Fortunately, it sold out that night at that particular store, and from what I've heard on Facebook, it's selling out at a lot of retailers, so Nintendo promised that there would be a lot more in stock of the SNES Classic Edition, a lot more than the NES Classic. They said, don't worry about it, you'll be able to get one. Some people aren't able to get one as of right now, so I really hope they do some restocks. I really hope people are able to get this for the holiday season, because it is such a great piece of Nintendo hardware with some awesome games attached to it. So be sure to be looking out for it. Go to check your Walmarts, check your Targets, check your Best Buys, check your GameStops to see if they have restocked this product, or if they have any left. Go out today if you can before they sell out completely. Before we go into the unboxing of the SNES Classic Edition, let's first look at this. I also received this today from Amazon, Playing with Super Power, the Super NES Classics. So this is a compendium of guides, tips and tricks, and a little bit of history, fan art, a lot of different things about the Super Nintendo. So I was pretty excited to get this as well. It's kind of like the Playing with Power NES compendium that came with the NES Classic, or not come with it, but it was released at the time of the NES Classic. So let's take a look at this real quick before we get into the unboxing. So there is the actual book. It looks like an SNES cartridge. Even has the indentions, the imprints of the SNES cartridge with the Nintendo logo on the back. Pretty neat, nice and textured. Let's take a look at a few of the pages here. So a lot of different things in here, very neat. Playing with Super Power, the Super NES Classics. You see some pictures, some artwork, some early development of the Super Nintendo. You see the Super Scope, a little bit of history about Nintendo Hardware Museum. The color TV game system. Not a lot of people know about that system. That was Nintendo's entry into living rooms. The Game & Watch handheld, the Game Boy handheld system. You also see Super Mario World here, and some tips and tricks, some guides for Super Mario World. More Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart. Let's see what other games are included here. More Super Mario Kart. Several of the games are included with the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. Super Metroid. See Metroid there, a little bit of history about Metroid. We see Punch-Out, Donkey Kong Country, Kirby Dream Course, EarthBound. So several of the games that are included in with the Classic Edition. You see Yoshi's Island there. And then you see fan art, some fan pages, some cosplayers. It's just a great piece of Nintendo history, and if you are wanting help with some of the games, it has some neat tips and tricks in there. So pick this up. I was able to get it, I think, $25 when it was first announced on Amazon as a pre-order. I think it runs for around $30 to $35 right now. On the back, I already opened up the plastic on the Playing with Super Power book, but this is the actual back insert that was included. Realizing the 16-bit dream. It talks about the games, the super fans. Comes with a free guide. Free guide included, a $9.99 value. That is the back. But now let's get into the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. We've all been waiting for this, been excited for it ever since it was announced. Super Nintendo Entertainment System. We see a picture of the SNES Classic Mini. Of course, it is a mini just like the NES Classic was, and this time it comes with 2 controllers. So thank you, Nintendo, for listening to your fans, for including 2 controllers with it. And then also they have fixed the cord length issue to an extent. The cord length with NES Classic, biggest complaint about it, is only about 2.5 feet. This go around, it's about 5 to 6 feet, I believe. So you see the front of the box there, Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition. Then you see the games. Games included, Never released. Star Fox 2. Everyone is excited for Star Fox 2. Is never released. It was developed back in the day, kind of close to the window of the Nintendo 64, and that's one reason they did not release it. They did not want to hinder the excitement of the Nintendo 64. You see Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country, F-Zero, Super Mario Kart, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, and you see that it is rated T for teen. Let's look at the side of the box first. So we see Super NES console. It is a super retro blast from the past with the return of the all-time fan favorite, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. This mini-sized Super NES Classic Edition system is packed with over 20 pre-installed games. And let's take a look at the side before we look at the back. Super NES Classic Controller. Play classic Super Nintendo Entertainment System games the way they were meant to be played, with a full-sized original Super NES controller. Just plug it in and you're ready to go. So let's take a look at some of these games that we can play. So we see artwork, case artwork of all the games that were included with this Super NES Classic Edition. Let's talk about a few of these games. Contra 3, Donkey Kong Country, EarthBound, Final Fantasy 3, Secret of Mana, Mega Man X, Super Castlevania IV, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG, my favorite, that is my favorite Super Nintendo game, super glad they included it, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out!, and once again, Star Fox 2. You see some screenshots there as well. That is the outside shell of the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. So let's look at the content. So I've already taken out the cardboard insert from inside that box, and this is what you see. So first off, let's look at what's on top. We have Nintendo warranty information. No one cares about that. You can read that if you want to. But then you also have, just like with the NES Classic Edition, we have a poster. A poster kind of detailing all of the games that are included with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition. Set that aside. First thing, we have the micro USB cable. Along with the micro USB cable, we have the wall outlet. So nothing special about that, just your standard micro USB and wall outlet. Underneath the, I'm going to skip over the console here, and let's, you have an HDMI cord. So just your standard HDMI cord, because these games are optimized for HD. They look great on your screen. There's a lot of different features with the console, including rewind, but you can also put on different filters, but they look great in HD, and I've got the controller, I'm wrapping it here, and there you have it. The Super Nintendo controller. It feels just like the original Super Nintendo controller. Feels great in my hands. Looks just like and feels just like. The D-pad still feels fantastic. Buttons still feel great. Start and select. Triggers at the top. One of my favorite controllers. And they're not one of them, but there are two of these wonderful controllers to play with your friends. A bunch of these games included are co-op, so you are able to play several of them co-op with your friends. And now let's look at the actual console itself, and there you have it, the SNES Classic Mini Edition. It looks great, it feels great, it looks just like the original. This is the US version, of course. If you're UK, there's the UK version. There's also the Super Famicom version for Japan. You see there, fits right in the palm of my hand. Look at the top here, you see the power button. It feels just like the original power button for the SNES. And then also the reset. And for comparison, I have the NES Classic. So we have these side by side. Take a look at them there. They are scale. They both look great. They are both mini. But I brought that in for comparison. And then also, too, I wanted to mention that the boxes are also the exact same dimensions. So you can put them on your shelves. They look exactly the same. I hope they do the same thing with the N64 when it inevitably happens. But we'll take a look at the console again. There it is. There's the back, the HDMI output with the micro USB. for power. There you have it. So let's see how you hook in the controller. So you see the indentions for the old controllers, but if you lift this up and flip over in the front, that is where you insert the controllers. Those Super Nintendo Classic controllers that feel and look exactly the same as the original. That is where you plug them into. I've also heard that those controllers are also compatible with the NES Classic. So if you're wanting to use these SNES controllers for the NES Classic, you are able to. So that is a nice addition. Just snapped up the front there. And there you have it. That is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I'm very excited into plugging this up to my TV right now and playing some of these awesome games, checking out some of the features. I will also be doing a review on cultureofgaming.com, so be sure to look out for that. Once again, this is Eugene from cultureofgaming.com. Please like, share, and subscribe to our page or to our channel. Check out cultureofgaming.com for the latest news, reviews, editorials, features on our website. We are a growing community with a growing fan base, and we're getting a lot of review codes out there. So be looking out for our reviews. Be looking out for my review, and I might even review Star Fox 2 since this is the first time we are able to. So be looking out for that. Be looking out for my review of this console itself. Once again, this is Eugene. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.